Hello everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of July the 3rd till 9th, 2023. We have, of course, still a very intense week ahead of us, but I think you've already got used to me and any other astrologer saying this because this is where we're living very unusual times. No other generation, perhaps not even the ancients, have ever lived and experienced anything like this, where it is not just the technology that is evolving at the speed of light, changing every second perhaps our paradigm, but also we as emotional perhaps beings are evolving in that sense, both individually and collectively, and this changes everything, and this gives a certain kind of intensity to all of the year basically, and the following years as well. But this week we also have a lot of positive energy, blessings, trines and sextiles in the sky, and also a fated aspect which will definitely hold their own surprises, and they are going to change the way we experience reality this week, our moods and our emotional setup, so to speak. So, speaking about emotions, at the very beginning of the week on the 3rd, we do have a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. Of course, like every single full moon, this does tend to pull emotions to the surface. But perhaps this time it might come with a blessing. It might come with moments that we all can rejoice in, for it holds the main aspect of this full moon is that the moon holds a trine to Jupiter, the major benefic, the planet of blessings basically. So there is bound to have some kind of good news or element of delight and pleasure, for Jupiter is in the sign of Taurus to it. But of course the Sun sextiles Jupiter, that is also extremely delightful. The Sun is trined by Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces. That can represent good karma, basically affecting our lives one way or another. It can represent us harvesting the fruits of our more psychological, spiritual work of the past, where we purged, where we released heavy emotions, where we tried our best to cope and integrate traumas. And at this moment, all of that work, Saturn, can come in our lives as blessings, and we can also feel the support and perhaps everything that our friends, our family, people who are very, very close to our souls wish to share with us, and vice versa. That can also be a representation of the Sun and Saturn trine. But of course, Mercury also opposes this full moon, which means that the Sun is conjunct Mercury at the time of this full moon, which means revelation, which means secrets coming out, which means the chance that this full moon gives us to observe something in our lives in a different light and to reach understanding, Mercury. But if you'd like to know more about the specifics of this full moon, I have a separate video where I also take a look at how this energy may play out in the lives of all of the 12 signs of the zodiac, so check it out if you'd like. But apart from this Capricorn full moon, which I do believe is also a super moon, making it very, very strong and influential, let's hope in the aspect of blessings and everything positive that it can bestow in our lives. But we also have challenging energy, which cannot really be ignored, for at the very beginning of the week we might still feel the reminiscence of the Mars and Uranus square. Now this square played out on the world stage as outbursts of violence, as accidents, as slight misfortune, but all of which kind of raises awareness to something that perhaps collectively and individually alike we did not observe or we did not want to see, but through this outburst, of events, of coincidences sometimes, it did come to our awareness. So this Mars and Uranus square also represented that crime rates and everything that has to do with very strong outlash, rebellion, uh, a moment of great emotional intensity taking over perhaps our rational sides. This is how it kind of manifested, and at the beginning of the week we still have a little bit of this energy before Mars breaks away from the square. But towards the very end of the week, well, Mars is going to be in a totally different kind of intensity, where it is at 29 degrees anaretic degree of the sign of Leo. Again, it is extremely fiery. It can be, a little bit violent, because that is the shadow side of Mars, where it just lashes out. It just expresses its more volatile qualities without really thinking about the consequences. In mythology, this is exactly how Mars wounded Chiron. And, of course, in a larger sense, because of this wound, because of Mars's, um, inconsiderate action, perhaps, Chiron did end up being a constellation. He did end up being in the sky, but still, the damage that this energy can do can be quite considerable. So it is very advised that at the very end of the week, so around the 9th of July, we do, keep ourselves in balance, and we do watch our reactions mostly. Now, without a doubt, this will also play out on the world stage. But on the world stage, it can play out as a sudden move, surprising move, perhaps unexpected move that a leader, world leader, king, royalty, very, very important and influential person does, because Mars is going to be conjunct the fixed star Regulus, so the star of kings. So there will be a move on the world stage, maybe a leader, maybe an influential person, a top politician, anything like that. And if this wasn't enough, at the time when Mars is conjuncting Regulus, Pluto is holding a quincunx with Mars, an exact quincunx. So Pluto also represents centralized power. Pluto also represents, especially in the sign of Capricorn, in anaretic degree as well, the rich, the powerful, who has all the control, who has perhaps Pluto, the planet of money, of wealth, of, Venus is the planet who governs currency and the flow of money and what money basically does to us, what it reflects about our worth, for example. But it is Pluto who governs big money. Pluto who governs basically money, which is really not in the pockets of everyone, only a very, very few, the elite, so to speak. So this quincunx will definitely highlight something. There might be an action, there might be a reaction, there might be a tactical move. Pluto sometimes has to do with, termination, the ending. Maybe a world leader quitting, maybe someone stepping down, maybe very important political changes in a part of the world, Pluto again. But if this wasn't enough, before Mars gets into anaretic degree, for example, around the 7th of July, there is going to be a Yod aspect where it is both Neptune and Pluto who hold a quincunx with Mars. So that is the finger of God pointing to Mars. The quincunx in neither cases will be very exact, because Neptune is at 27 degree of the sign of Pisces, where Pluto is 29 degree at the sign of Capricorn. But still around that time, the quincunx with the tolerance of the orbs is going to point straight to Mars. So this is a fated event. This is a synchronistic event. Leo rules the heart space, creativity, children, It rules basically our passions, our desires. This is also where our lust at this time, especially because Black Moon Lilith is also in the sign of Leo along with Venus, takes, intensity. So this can be quite interesting and revelatory regarding where the hand of fate kind of moves something collectively. As I said, creativity, passions, ambitions, the youth, children, anything that has to do with this. And Neptune in the sign of Pisces, well, it can, especially retrograde, it can represent artistic expression. What artistic expression does in the world collectively? Is it a force of compassion, Pisces, or is it just compassion where it is just a tool for larger manipulation? That can also represent Neptune in the sign of Pisces, especially at that 27 degree. And Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, well, again, authority, government, the rich and the powerful, and the power we have over choices in our lives that influence our material situation, our relationship with authorities. May that be institutions of the state, or may that be a person who is like an authoritarian figure in our lives. So this energy can play out in a very surprising way. But regardless, Mars is the planet of action. It is highly combust in the sign of Leo. It is conjunct Pallas Athena at the time of the quincunx. Pallas Athena being at around 27. I do believe that their conjunction, Mars and Pallas Athena's conjunction, is going to take place at 28 degrees of the sign of Leo, somewhere around also the 7th, 8th of July. So Pallas Athena adds the tactics to it. It adds a certain kind of wisdom, because she is basically planetoid of wisdom. But she has a similar quality to Mars at times, where wisdom, foresight, tactics, the use of intelligence cannot break through. Sheer force can break through. And both of these planets do hold a trine to Eris in the sign of Aries, so it's a very, very individualistic energy. It is a breakthrough energy, where the breakthrough is by courage, by initiative, by stepping up, owning your power, owning the truth in your heart of hearts. This can be a moment of spotlight, of, great emotional intensity, the moment of a hero, why not? Playing out either in our individual lives or on the world stage. This Yod aspect and also the trine to Eris does guarantee a big move happening in our lives. Maybe we are subject to a big move of another person. For example, you're invited to join a project, a party, when I say party, a collaboration of some sort, someone else's adventure, or a love declaration, a sensual declaration, anything that has, something to do with courage and expressing truth in the heart. On the world stage, of course, this can, take on much more fiery, assertive, and, passionate, in the not quite favorable sense kind of expression, because Eris is the archetype of the rebel, of the freedom fighter, of the sovereign. So we will definitely see this play out on the world stage. And quincunx to Pluto, maybe a reaction as to something political, something legal, something that has to do with finances. Who owns what? That can be Pluto in the sign of Capricorn. Now, if this wasn't enough, it's not just Venus and Mars who are going to be trining Eris, because around the 6th, basically in the beginning of the week, Venus also holds a trine to Eris. Venus herself, the principle of love, the principle of lust, the principle of sensuality, is free by divine nature. Venus was born, after all, let's say, from a body part of Uranus and the foams of the ocean. So basically, she is free by her divine nature. Eris, another planetoid, another principle of total freedom, where the chains are off from the heart, from the head, the sign of Aries. So this does represent freedom in love, freedom in desire, surprises that can come in our lives. But because Venus in shadow, I have to say this over and over again, let us wait until Venus retrograde is over, somewhere in around the beginning of autumn, when we have the enough clarity to commit or make something long term in our lives, or to know what our heart even feels for a person, for a situation, for a project, for a job, etc., etc., for a value. Are we gonna invest or not? Why not? But it is also Black Moon Lilith who holds this trine. But Black Moon Lilith, before she starts holding the trine to Eris, she holds a trine to Chiron, and this takes place also, around the 6th of July, actually on the 5th of July, and this is very, very important, because this is a powerful healing energy. Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Leo does represent the sheer force of desire. Now this has a positive expression, because when we are motivated by a strong desire, by a truth burning in our hearts, by a creative power wanting to free itself, that can get us to places, into situations, it can motivate us, it can drive us to action like absolutely nothing else. Now the negative side of this energy is where desire is also enslaving. Desire is also sometimes symbolically the devil, which gets us into situations, places, meeting people, saying things, reacting to things, taking action, which usually we would never ever consider. So desire can be a motivational force, both in the positive way and also in a negative way, and it will be also Venus who will hold the quincunx in Mars' place with Neptune. Neptune being Venus's higher octave. It can be illusionary, it can be the grip of the spirit, where the spirit, has to be interpreted. Because very, very rarely does spirit express itself, objectively. Like, it is what it is. That is usually already a warning sign, an exclamation mark that deep interpretation needs to take place, because the spirit by nature does not come directly, unless you are, like a holy person or someone with great mastery over it. Otherwise, chances are it is our symbolic mind needing to interpret it. Now, speaking about other positive energies that can influence us this week, well, at the very beginning of the week we have the Sun sextile Jupiter. That is absolutely beautiful, because our sense of value, what we believe in, value-wise, anything Taurian-wise, how we embody our principles, how we embody our deeper faith, that can get us in all the right places, that can make us magnetic, especially from an emotional perspective, the Sun being in the sign of Cancer. But after the Sun moves on, it is Juno who is going to be holding, planetoid of partnerships, a trine to Saturn in fellow water sign Pisces, retrograde. Now, Juno trine Saturn, it does speak about partnership, it does speak about support, it does speak about alliance, it does speak about being there on a soul level, spiritual level, emotionally, for another person. Another person may return from the past, Saturn retrograde in Pisces, the very sign of the past and finalities, and they may offer us a kind of support that we only had back then in our lives. But if it's not like a concrete person from the past, if you think back about, if you think back to your past, maybe it is just an archetype. When was a moment when a person just popped up in your life and their support felt like honey, felt like soul nurture, made you feel safe, made you feel valuable, because Juno is in the sign of Cancer, so this is emotional nurture and protective energy. Who made you feel safe? Who made you feel protected? Or vice versa? When was that time in the past when you popped up in the life of a person and made them feel safe, made them feel protected, and that without a doubt led to blessings in both of your lives, either alliance, a friendship, or soulmate type of connection? Without a doubt, this can also be friends and very, very close friends, like soul level friends and family, but it can also represent reconnecting with more distant family. Now, moving on with this energy, it will be later on in the week, around the 9th, when Mercury is going to be speaking in a trine, a conversation of serenity and blessing with Neptune. Now, this energy can feel like the support of the spirit, because Mercury in the sign of Cancer is like the emotional coefficients. It is emotional intelligence. It is us being able to clearly integrate things, events, people, reactions, etc., seen, perceived through an emotional lens into our souls, into our past, into our memory. So this is an energy which brings emotional clarity, emotional support. Dreams are very, very active and encouraging. Hope is definitely there. And this is where other people or us might be speaking words of hope, words of deep faith, words that do nurture everyone around us. For artists, for spiritualists, for healers, for public speakers, this is definitely a really, really good aspect when your positive influence out there is that much stronger, and it can lead to blessings, and it can lead, of course, to alliances, connections. Mercury and Neptune is retrograde, so that means your own spiritual power. That means you being able to connect to inner parts of your being that much strongly, and that is empowering. That means like a blessing, and especially, as I said, if you're an artist, it might be the muse that you were looking for. But there is other aspects that Mercury holds before it perfects its trine with Neptune, because it also holds a sextile with its higher octave Uranus in the sign of Taurus. This is also an energy of clarity. This is surprise. This is delight. This is when, for example, alliance gets you there. Alliance as in teaming up with other people, accepting help, reaching out for help. Chances are you get it because Mercury speaks the need and Uranus conjures up the surprise, especially in the sign of Taurus, where it becomes concrete, it becomes real, it becomes embodied. So this is an energy of surprise and delight, especially if you have the right attitude, if you know how to immerse into this community-based energy. Both Uranus and Mercury in the sign of Cancer support communities. So there is chances there, there are options, there are opportunities. This is also problem-solving energy, when something someone does, offers, says, or offers an alliance that can solve problems existing in your life. So this can be a really, really good energy. And also at the very, very end of the week, Mars conjunct Regulus. For some people, due to the Pluto quincunx, this is their chance to get spotlight, to get out there with something creative, something, passionate, something, ambitious that they can do. It can come as a surprise, it can come unexpectedly, it can come as a moment where something or someone in life pushes you there and you just find yourself in the spotlight. Mars conjunct Regulus, many times it is debut energy, when that singer, that talented person, that someone is, in the public eye. Through a coincidence, quincunx, through an involuntary thing that they share. But the spotlight is there, the recognition there is there, the blessings are there. They become more, let's say, noble through this series of coincidences. And again, I have to point to the quincunx. That's of course the yod aspect. This is where fate might move some people to get them out of anonymity and into the spotlight, into notoriety. But if we look at basically the wholeness of the sky, where each and every planet and power player, what it's doing, what it is adding individually to the energetic configuration of this week, well, it's really, really good news because, for example, around the 6th of July, we have the annual meeting between the Sun and fixed star Sirius. That is ultimately a nurturing aspect, inspirational aspect. Muses are there, inner guidance is there, emotional up in that sense. So upliftment is definitely there. Mercury with the sextile it holds with Uranus, brainstorming, figuring things out. Then Mars, Venus, trining Aries, but Venus and Black Moon Lilith trining Chiron in Aries, and Aries is the sign of the head. That is where it's definitely brainstorming. Things are being figured out through heart level, heart space, the intelligence of the heart, but the head is listening. Chiron, it is healing. Or Aries, you're ready for action. This will definitely, clear things out. It will give you either a much more clear approach to how you need to go about everything that you need to sort out in the close future, or what you need to initiate, what you need to create, a big move of yours, either out of sheer necessity or deep passion, because for some people this is where it's necessary, it's not really optional, it is a must. And all of this energy is setting the stage, preparing for the upcoming, on the 17th, 18th of July, the nodes of the moon shifting into Aries Libra axis. In Aries, the North Node in Aries is very, very individualistic energy. It is about your goals, your needs, your ambitions, what it is that you need to do in life. It is very, very self-centered, not necessarily in a narcissistic and egoistic way, but this is where when it's your turn to do something, and when you're the only one who can do things in your life for yourself, in the community, initiatory energy, then this is where it's no choice but to focus on the self. So these energies are preparing the stage for that North Node shifting into Aries on the 17th, 18th of July, and as soon as they shift, they are going to be T-squared by Pluto. So it's not a very easy energy because the pressure is on. Pluto means simply the necessity, the imperative necessity of owning our power, because without owning our power, taking the power within ourselves and using it, this energy of the North Node is Aries is gonna be like suffocating. It is not gonna help us all that much move forward, because it is when you wanna make a big move, let's say, in your life, you wanna take a long hike like the triathlon or whatever athlon is there, but you did not exercise, you're in a poor physical condition. This is where you won't be able to do it just like that. like it or not, you will need to prepare yourself. You will need to get into better physical condition. Of course, you can try it and just faint or, give up at the quarter of the race or whatever. You can try, but you also know that it cannot be triumphant unless, as I said, you take your power back. Prepare yourself, embody the power. Just like so, this is the period when we do exactly that. Take back our power and strengthen the power that we have. This is also the quincunx Mars and Pluto are going to be holding. The brainstorming, the figuring out aspect of the quincunx is how we get to embody our power, what it is that we need to do, what compromises might be there to make, and what other compromises would be unacceptable. So this is basically how this energy can play out. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the love and support. If you'd like to keep my channel and my work ongoing, you can donate in the PayPal link in the description below. Thank you everyone, wishing you a blessed week. Until next time, bye for now.